Hey, are you tired of feeling stuck, unfulfilled, and struggling with unhealthy addictions? In this episode, I sit down with Nick Drivas, an online personal development coach who's been there himself. After overcoming a decade-long battle with porn addiction, Nick hit rock bottom and was even suicidal. But then he discovered a transformative program that not only saved his own life, but has now helped countless others achieve their next level of personal growth. Tune in to hear Nick's powerful story and the proven strategies he uses to help his clients build the best version of themselves through fitness, mindset, and nutrition. This is a must watch for anyone seeking to make a real lasting change in their life.
Let's go. Asteroid of fear.
Welcome to another episode of the Minute House Podcast. And on today's episode, we have Nick Drivas. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Drivas. That's what a lot of people say. That's totally fine.
How are you today?
Oh man, I'm winning and living. I'm living that life, man. I actually was just making some music before this, hit the gym, and now we're here on this podcast. Like it's a dope lifestyle with Nick Drivas. That's all it is. But I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me on, Richard.
You're welcome. My day was kind of the same, and I agree. I hit the gym this morning after being on chat help with Spotify for like an hour and a half, trying to get some things crossed over for my analytics, but the gym definitely helped get me out of that funk a little bit. So, and I know that that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. And I think the listeners will get some great information out of this. And not only that, but you just have a interesting story from where we matched on Podmatch, and I wanted to check that out because I like what you're about, and I think too what other people are going to realize is you're quite a bit younger than most people in the space that you're in. And I did notice that also on a couple of the interviews I watched of you. But let's start off with a little bit of your backstory. Kind of where'd you grow up? What were you into? And what were your plans coming up before you ended up where you are currently?
So I've been born and raised in New York my whole life. I moved around. I was born in Queens, and then I moved out here to Long Island. Currently, where I'm still at is my grandmother's house that it was when I moved in around 12 years old. My parents got divorced, and that's where everything at the age of 12, that's where my porn addiction even started because of that. Because it was just me and my grandmother all day. I didn't associate in school activities or pretty much anything of that sort. It would just be coming home from school, and then I would go search on YouTube. This is how it all started. And I found a stripper video, and I just start touching myself. You know, my grandmother's sick upstairs. She had throat cancer. God rest her soul. And I would just be going online and searching on my little iPod at the time, you know, stripper, and started touching myself. And it just led down a rabbit hole of just throughout my high school years, just constantly watching porn, not wanting to associate with any women or just people in general. I was very antisocial. But the thing was, is that I always had a goal or some sort of purpose with something. So in high school, it was basketball. I was trying to chase that. I was trying to get to the NBA. I've never been the person that's like, I'm just going to go get a 9 to 5 and that's going to be the rest of my life and just live like a normal lifestyle. That's not Nick Juris. Never has been, like with anything that he pursued. But the problem was, is that I kept running to the porn and I was trying to chase something imaginary because I didn't have the confidence. So I had the work ethic, especially with basketball, track, you name it. That was my next thing that I did. And I just kept coming up short. And I was like, why am I always getting the rough end of the stick? Why is nothing working? Because I never made the team for school. And all the coaches said, you just didn't have the confidence. You didn't have the belief. And I was like, huh? Because I didn't even know what confidence was when I was like 15, 16 years old at this time. So I was able to get a track scholarship. I say, fuck that. I don't want to do that. At that point, I was listening to my consciousness. I'm like, I don't want to do this. But I had the belief in that, which is so crazy. I go off to college. I'm trying to do YouTube now. again, I got the work ethic. My videos suck. I'm not blowing up. Same thing, no belief. I say, fuck this once again. Then I hop on TikTok. This is when TikTok's like really blowing up. A lot of people are downloading the app. This is like at the start of lockdown, and I just start posting workouts in my backyard. So at this point, I've been going for the most part on porn like 2 to 3 times a day since the age of 12. And I'm just trying to figure like something to do with my life. At this point, I'm around 20 years old, and I finally found a little bit of success in my life. I started making some money, and then I'm like, God damn it, because it all took a plummet because I didn't build everything correctly. I took shortcuts, and then I started going back to the porn. So a year later, so now this is around like 2021, 2022, probably like a year, 1.5 years, 2 years almost actually. I got it tatted on my wrist. It is July 27th, if you can see,
Mm,
2022. It's still getting done, this piece right here. But it's the day my life literally just fucking transformed. So I was down in my basement. It's round 2 of the day, and I'm just watching porn on repeat. Nothing's working. I'm trying to build my business at this point, from hopping on TikTok and blowing up and all this stuff. Nothing working. Learning about sales, marketing, all this stuff, but just nothing is still working once again. So again, I just didn't have the self-belief. I kept doing the work and just kept just so short with anything that I was pursuing. It was a constant pattern throughout my life. It always has been. So I finally invest into a coach because I was so stubborn. I was just like, fuck all this shit. And that's the date, that July 27th. I say, fuck this. I'm done with this porn. I'm done doing this. And then I just invest over $3,000 into a coach at the time to show me the program that saved my own life. Because throughout this whole period, I had depression, I had anxiety, I had all these things that were just troubling me. And I felt worthless. I felt just like a piece of goddamn shit, to be honest. And I wanted to end my life for so long throughout anything that I pursued. Even though I was trying to pursue it, I was actually numbing it with what I was actually trying to accomplish, which is so crazy. But I tried drowning myself in the bathtub multiple times throughout my journey. So I finally invest into this program, and in 3 months, I get in the best shape of my life. I feel so confident. Everybody at the gym is coming up to me, asking me, how did you do it? I got women, saying crazy, erotic stuff to me now. And it's just a full 360, 369. I just keep doing it. A year later, 1.5, 2 years almost now, 10K months coming in, taking trips around the world, about to relocate to a new spot for myself very soon. So it's like everything is working while I was down in the dumps and broke as fuck because I had no money on that date that's tatted on my wrist. So there was nothing in my bank account left besides that 3 grand. And it just continues to unfold with the personal development journey, and just everything that I was taught, because I had to heal myself. Now I heal others. And it's just so fucking like bulletproof with everything that I do. And it's so clear because I created the path so far in just a short amount of time.
okay. So what we're going to do is you've kind of walked us through that. I'm going to go back and let's touch on some of the details because there's a lot of information in there. So with the porn addiction, like I kind of I can see that definitely kind of being isolated, divorce of parents, even though my parents divorced when I was much older, it was still very difficult, even at 19. So I could imagine at 12, and then you're sent to live with your grandmother, and you don't have a lot of, you're not doing anything with kids. I mean, there's a whole difference. I'm 47 years old. So like getting porn in my day was like, somebody copped a Playboy off their dad, or, you know, somebody was given a VHS tape. And so do you think that, I mean, I can imagine the answer is yes, but do you think the ease, because you're a lot younger than me, that being able to go on an iPod and just type in stripper, how much do you think that the internet technology played into kind of starting off with that road down the porn rabbit hole?
Well, that's what it was. And because I had so much comfort, and there was nobody like on my ass about it. Like there was no accountability, like somebody in my ear. There was no private restrictions. I wasn't telling my parents what I was experimenting with, you know? So yeah, that's where it just led down to the next thing. And then it led into porn and just going on Pornhub and finding that, like I would be like hot woman and then it would start listing like stuff from, oh, Pornhub. And then, I'm like 12, 13 years old, like click. And then I'm like, oh, whoa, look at this. It's like when a kid is in the candy store and he
Oh
sees all
yeah.
the bright colors and all the different types of candy, like that dopamine hit is like, fuck, I want all this candy, man. It's the same when I came across, specifically Pornhub. So like even from the stripper shit, it was like, oh, this is nice. But then when that came and I saw that website, I was like, oh man. So I was like 13, 14, like already like watching full on like porn.
But what
Uh,
was it about that like so, I've done alcohol. I don't drink. And I'm familiar with kind of the way alcohol works with the dopamine hit in the brain, and then you're redlining your dopamine, and then you get that huge dip, and then you're trying to come back up to normal, and that's where that depression comes from. Was it similar? Did you notice like a depression in between checking out sessions?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like massive withdrawals when I didn't do it. I would get like even very shaky, like my lips, like when you're like shivering and all that, like the withdrawals. That's why I would experience when I wouldn't go and watch the porn. I was like, oh fuck, I need my fix. So it's the same if you're like trying to stop with alcohol, any sort of drug like crack or anything of that sort. It doesn't matter what the drug is. Like the porn is a vice, right? So anything of that sort. Drinking, smoking, I've done too, not to the biggest extent, but it is something that I've done like a couple of times. And it wasn't as bad as this, where I was just like, oh fuck, this is my vice, like this is my thing that I'm really hooked on. So I know everyone's a little bit different in that category, but no, like porn is the same as like drinking. Yeah, I would get the dopamine hit. I would get where I would just be sitting in my bed, like, fuck, man, so lost in my life, so just ashamed in myself. And I would just be pondering and wandering everything of what I'm trying to pursue, what I'm doing with my life. Why am I here? What's my purpose? I just want to die. Like, it only just led down a very negative spiral for myself when I was massively, massively hooked on it too. So the more that I was like giving into those dopamine hits and like, fuck, I need my fix, it was actually just making me worse because of that short-term gratification.
Now, do you think what was it? You had mentioned you lacked confidence. Was it that lack of confidence that essentially kind of gave you the paralysis, maybe to not go out and just pursue having sex?
That too, because I remember in high school, I had a girlfriend and I couldn't get it up. I had erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I'm attracted to this chick. And then I'm like, I can't get it up right now. What is going like, uh-oh. And I remember crying to her like afterwards. Like we tried like 2 or 3 times. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm crying as I say this, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what it is. It's not you. She literally thought I was gay because of what was going on. And I was like, God damn. Like at that point too, I was like, fuck. And then still I was not doing anything. I still wasn't trying to, figure it out. I was still not in enough pain to actually make that change.
And
Like that's
were you not making the association that the porn was potentially causing that?
That's what I was like unaware at the time because I was so young. I thought like maybe like my dick just doesn't work or something, like but
Yeah.
I'm so young. Don't I have like a whole bunch of energy and like testosterone and all this stuff? And I even tried like I remember like thinking of porn while I was trying to have sex with her and it still wouldn't work, which was weird. And I was like, what the heck? I'm like so attached to this stuff. But then when nobody was around or it was just like on my own terms, yeah, then I would just go on Pornhub and then I was like totally okay. Like, and I feel like that comes from the lack of confidence and performance anxiety and saying like, oh man, I really have to perform very well for her. So I was like putting so much pressure because of watching porn for so long. Um, and it just messed me up for years. Like it made me also just objectify women when I would just go out, like even in my early 20s, like when I went to the gym, even and I saw a nice girl working out, like the first thing I would just be like, God damn, she's got a nice fucking ass. Like now I actually take the time to admire the woman that's in the gym and be like, wow, that is a beautiful woman. Like the shapes on her, like her face, everything. And then down to just like, wow, she's able to just like work out right now in peace. Like, you know, I take it from a gratitude approach instead of, oh man, she's got a really nice fucking ass. Cause I got like guys my age, I'm 23. And some dudes that I hang out with that are not on the personal development journey or younger, or guys that are even Richard, like your age, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Or even older than you. And they're like, God damn, that's a nice piece of meat right there. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's what you're saying to her? That's terrible. You know what I'm saying? And I bet you $1,000,000 that motherfucker like is watching porn or he just watched some nasty shit and he's like, oh man, like oh, I would wreck that shit. Like, or they ask like, so did you fuck the chick you were dating? Like that you saw and dated recently? And I'm like, that's the first thing you asked? That is so lame, bro. You know? It's crazy. It's crazy out here.
Did you ever at any time like um potentially did you ever ask like your girl like, hey, watch some porn with me and maybe that would help with the erectile dysfunction?
There wasn't even enough because we didn't date that long. It was only like I think like 2 or 3 months. It was a high school
Mhm.
relationship, but and it was nearing like senior year, so then we were going off to college. But then after the second time, she was done with me. She was like, I can't take this anymore. And I'll be honest, that whole relationship was a rebound, and I took that as like, oh, she really wanted me because she just broke up with her ex-boyfriend. So this ties into like low confidence, self-esteem, all that stuff because I thought it was like she really wanted to be with me, I thought. And I was like, "Oh, I'll be in a relationship," you know, cuz I only had like a couple of girlfriends so far. And yeah, she just got over a breakup and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here," cuz she was trying to say I'm attractive and all these things and I didn't see through it at the time and I fell for it. And then that happened too with the whole erectile dysfunction and it just made the whole situation worse. If anything, like take the time to build the best self and then start to attract the right people. Like that's what I'm doing now. Like the people around me, the chicks even, like they're a representation and a reflection of me. Like I'm not hanging around no bum. Like she was a bum. Like, you know, smoked weed, drank, all that stuff. Like that's not who I want because that's not who I am now. But that
Right.
was me, you know, back then. A little bit again of the drinking, the smoking, and then especially on the porn side. And it just messed up my confidence even more. And just me wanting to be in a relationship was out of like that sense of like scarcity, like, oh man, I'll never be with somebody or all this stuff, and just to be in a relationship. But that comes from a lack of self-worth. If you had the right amount of self-worth, you actually don't need anybody. Now at 23, because of the whole process I do, the personal development, everything, the people I surround myself with, I don't need nobody. It's just me, myself, and I could literally die right now and be at peace. I don't need a wife. I don't need a whole bunch of friends just to feel something either. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel complete because I mastered self so far at 23.
Yeah, once you go in it, Hunter from the Everything's Connected podcast, he always says once you go in within, you'll never go without. And I agree that I did a relationship episode where I always say that people think that that other person's going to fulfill something in them when actually the fulfillment comes from yourself. But when you moved away and started off in college, you said you were doing some um, YouTube stuff before you went to TikTok. What exactly were you doing on YouTube, and kind of what gave you the idea? Because I know part of this journey from a couple other episodes I watched were, you know, you needed some self-confidence. You were smaller, you wanted to get bigger. And so where was it that you started working out? And was that kind of a precursor to the YouTube channel, like wanting to do that and then get into the kind of fitness influencer type path?
So I've been trying to do YouTube for years, like at this
Hmm.
point. And also I was also trying to get bigger for years. So I didn't have the blueprint. I didn't know how that worked. I didn't know how the whole online space also worked. So I was 19 at the time. I only did one semester at a local college, like 15 minutes from my house. And I dropped out. It was like $100, by the way, to drop all my classes, which is crazy. I'm like, God damn, we're paying like thousands to get a job that maybe one day you'll get or not. But like, it's so crazy how that all worked. But it was just $100 for like 10 classes or whatever to drop. But so I drop out. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Again, I have all the depression still going on. And I'm like, I'm gonna go do YouTube. Like, I'm not in the right state. But I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. And I start doing it, and it's just vlogs. I'm just doing like my daily life. I'm hanging out with a whole bunch of bums. I'm also shooting music videos. This is another thing for like free. I'm getting taken advantage of by all these artists where they're saying they're gonna pay me, and then they didn't. And I was like, why are they not paying me? And I'm like, oh, it goes back to lack of self-belief, just confidence in myself, not being able to stand my ground and be like, God damn, could you pay me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff. So that's the common theme here, is that I had a lack of self-belief my whole life with anything that I pursued. Um, so then I'm doing music videos, I'm doing the vlogs, and I'm like, okay, this is still not working. I just quit my job. I was working at Nordstrom Rack 2 at the time. And I say, I'm gonna try fitness. And here's the other thing. I was so scrawny, and I'm like showing workouts online, like how to get bigger biceps and legs and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not even the part, you know? So it took some time, and then it was just taking for me, I was like getting impatient with it. I have a quick temper. And honestly, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I took a break from the YouTube, making like 8 to 10 minute videos of like workouts, all this stuff. And then again, that's where I was like, okay, what about TikTok? And then I said, I'm gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's run with this. And then this was more short form content. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna blast workouts, what I've been doing on YouTube to this. And then this is also where I finally found some purpose. So I had like a 200-day streak of no porn, anything. I'm off it since, the age of 12 finally. And I felt at peace. But again, that's where it all spiraled back down. And then we actually took the time to invest in ourselves, get the proper blueprints for, the online world. And also when it came to my physique, because I was still scrawny, even though I was blowing up on TikTok. So I needed the right blueprints for myself to make sure, okay, I'm doing everything correctly and I'm doing it in accordance with my 10.0 self. That's going to be 4 years. I was thinking in terms of like quick paychecks and quick cloud and all that stuff. But then I really opened my mind. I went third bird's eye view, right? Or third person view. And I said, okay, I'm going to break this all down and do this for years now. That's how I think now. In the past, it wasn't like that.
When, so you mentioned you made it like a 200-day streak with no porn. I want to go back and go, when did you know that, one, you had a porn problem, and then two, when did you make that connection that it was potentially the porn that was stifling your progress and your confidence?
Honestly, it's the date that's tatted on my wrist. That was the point that was my conscience was saying in that moment. It was yelling so loud. And it was saying, Nick, you got to go to that coach. You got, like, I was pondering even going to the coach and learning, how to get my physique right. learning about my macros, better mindset, because I was like still weak, even though I had that 200-day streak. And I was like, I really need to make a change now. I need to really get serious and just buckle down and do this for the rest of my life, you know? And I wasn't making it all a lifestyle. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people, they think in, again, like those short time periods, you need to think grander. You got to think years. You got to think, like, especially when it comes to your physique and all that stuff, like you're constantly going to be going cuts, reverses, back and forth for the rest of your life. It's not just to drop some weight for a goddamn wedding and then you're going to put 20,000 more pounds back on, you know, after the wedding. Like, that's stupid. Like, just to cut real quick and then, you know, like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, the suit's still not going to fit after you freaking bought it, you know what I'm saying, from Men's Warehouse because you
Right.
lost a couple to fit into it. Like, why would you do that in the first place? That makes no sense. But yeah, just like I wasn't sustaining it. And that date, it means so much to me because that was my turning point where I finally listened to the call of my conscience, because it's the voice that will guide you through it all. And it has guided me ever since. And as of today, I just listen to that voice now because that was clear confirmation off of that day. Okay, that was the thing that I needed to do. I subtracted everything else that wasn't necessary. And I said, okay, I'm just going to do this. So like for years, I was like, it would cross my head and then I just wouldn't listen to it. I'd be like, no, that's not me. No, I don't have a problem. I'm lying, you know, all these things. And then I said, you know what? I do have a problem. Yeah, I have a massive problem. Like, why are you doing this to yourself, Nick? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing in my basement? You know, of still my grandmother's house. I'm at the time I was yeah, I was 22. I just turned 22. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is terrible, you know? And I finally felt like the pain threshold was at a 10 for myself. And I was like, I need to change. I need to do this. Because I was trying to do like coaching and coach people how to lose weight, better mindset. And I'm like, I'm not even doing it myself. You know, I'm not practicing what I preach. And along the journey, that's what I've taught, gathered as well is literally, I'm just going to practice every little goddamn thing I preach to make sure I'm not being that lame that I was, you know? Because
Right.
there's a lot of coaches, I swear to God, in person and online, they do not practice what I preach. I go to one of the top gyms here on Long Island, and still, even in there, it's all just bodybuilding and all that stuff, but they are not practicing what they preach. I will tell you straight up. I see right through it. It's crazy. So don't trust everything that you're hearing. Go to the individual that's actually practicing what they preach in all areas.
What started that 200 days? Like how did you, because I know, like, let's say when I stopped drinking, there's something that when you started that 200-day journey that had to have been like, fuck, I gotta I gotta stop something. I gotta do something different. I gotta go against that guiding, what was your guiding kind of voice before, that little voice in your head? Um, how, what was that moment like that said, I'm gonna start that 200-day free journey?
So for that one specifically, because that's before July 27th. So
Right.
this is like 2020 when I'm hopping on TikTok and stuff. And I don't know, that one just kind of like just took over. And it was because I was so passionate about making the videos and finally having some peace in my life in terms of where I didn't need, again, like I didn't need anybody. I needed like just me, myself, and I, my phone, some $20 tripod on Amazon, and just sun in my backyard. And then that's what I just kept doing that summer, over and over again. I just kept making those videos, and I just stayed busy. That was the big thing as well.
Now,
You know,
when you did that, now was it during that time frame of abstaining from porn and that 200 days and kind of being on that grind with posting videos that you were like, man, I haven't watched even like when you got to like 30, 60, 90 days where you like, man, I haven't watched porn in this many days and things seem to be going better or I feel more at peace. I think I'm gonna stay on this track because I know like let's say with alcohol, it kind of works the same way as like, you're reluctant to give it up and then for a week or two you're batshit crazy a little bit and and then it just gets easier, but then you're like, when kind of these moments do come along, you're like, oh, maybe I feel good, or maybe I enjoy it, and it's because I'm not drinking. I don't need to drink. And then you kind of just keep going with it. And the next thing you know, like kind of like yourself, you find yourself 200 days later, and you're like, shit, man, I realize how much that was fucking up my shit, my progress.
There definitely were times like I remember there's two instances that come to mind off of that because it was a while ago. So it's to backtrack that far to that time. I'm trying to remember. But there was where I had a friend at the time who was also a mentor. He wasn't the best friend or mentor by far, but I remember when I was on that 200-day streak and he was like, "Do you want to go to the strip club?" And I was like, no, like, why do you want to go to the strip club? And he was only a couple of years older than me at the time. But there was the temptation of like the porn and thinking that but I was just like, no, man, like I'm locked in right. Like, what are you trying to prove? And it was kind of because like he wanted to do it. And I was like, no, I just like want to just keep doing what I've been doing. Like, if you want, you can go and do that. Like, not me, you know? And then the other thing where I kind of feel like where it leads to that downward spiral from that point was I remember I was with another just a friend and we were in the gym and it was actually some random dude joined us for a workout. I remember because he like saw me working out or something and he wanted to like help with like recording. It was a weird instance. And then I started telling my story and told him like, oh, I've been on the streak for so long. And it was around like 200 days. I was telling him, he's like, 200 days? Like I can't even go like a day or two. Um, and that's where it kind of just led down the spiral. I was like, fuck, I have not touched my meat for like 200 days. And then, the finances were dropping and all that stuff. It actually led me back down that rabbit hole for like another year and a half. Um, just touching myself again, now back to 2 to 3 times a day. So it was actually because of like hearing it from certain people, it kind of messed with me and it gave that temptation to say, you know what, you've been working hard, Nick. You should go and do that. You deserve it. Like that's where that came comes from. So it's the same like with alcohol or any addiction. It's the same thing. Like you've been on the journey and then you have like certain people, they'll go right into it. They'll
Oh yeah.
slither right in and be like, no, man, you deserve it. Like you've been working hard. Like, you've had the streak for so long. Like, I think you'll be okay. And it's like, no, no, like people don't understand like how valuable that streak is. And if I just had more of the right people, especially in that scenario, at that time in a stronger mindset, then I bet I wouldn't have not cracked,
Yeah, I get it. Because
back
I
then.
went like 2 years with no alcohol, and then it was kind of a similar thing for me where somebody's like, well, you've done good. Like you can have a drink. But then that 2 years leads to another 2 years of drinking. And it doesn't have to necessarily be every day, but kind of like you said, it's like, you leave the door cracked and something will slither in. And, and that's kind of what I think the point of bringing up this and which why I appreciate you discussing this so much is that just like alcohol or anything that has an impact on your brain chemistry and the way you get those dopamine hits. And, whether it's alcohol or pornography or heroin, you know, some people just shouldn't have certain things. And they can't control it, then it should be better to not have it all. I mean, my wife is fine. She can drink a drink or two and she gets sleepy. I'm the opposite. I get happy and then I turn into an asshole. So I just tend
Yeah.
not to do it. It's just better for me not to. But
Mhm.
I think understanding that is kind of a key component. And I think, what's so valuable about having you on the podcast, especially since I'm 20 something years your senior, is that there's going to be people in your age group, but also the younger people who are growing up with these same temptations, this same technology. And like kind of what I stated before, it was the ease of obtaining it was so much different than Gen X getting a Playboy or a Hustler magazine. And so I think it's going to be very beneficial for the audience listening, and or parents who also have younger children who might go through this or struggle with it. But you got 727 tattooed on your wrist, and you're like, I want to make a change.
Mhm.
And, you know, um, there's there's somebody I kind of listen to on podcasts and stuff, and I really like this saying is that, hey, even Michael Phelps, an Olympic swimmer, has a coach. So even if you think you're at the top of your game or you're on your game, it doesn't hurt to hire a coach. So when you initially said, okay, it's time to take Nick to the next level, I'm going to hire a coach.
Mhm.
What were you what made you come to that decision, and what were you looking for in a coach? Because you were working out and kind of scrawny still, was it strictly I want to get bigger, learn like the nutritional macros and that kind of plan? But also I know that was one component, but how much did a mindset component play into hiring a coach? Or was it after you hired the coach to kind of get bigger and learn about nutrition and exercise? Was it the mind piece that kind of crept in or that was given to you by the coach? And then you learned how much the mindset was also not just valuable with the exercise part, but with your mindset in keeping yourself away from porn.
So to answer that is like it's more than one thing. Like it was in that moment specifically, it was so many things going through my head
Mhm.
that even when because I closed in the DM with him, like we didn't go on a phone call or anything of that sort. Like I told him exactly, hey, I'm fucked up with porn, I'm messed up, I'm suicidal. At this point too, so I was like super scrawny my whole life, like for the most part. I actually was overweight now from actually eating like too much junk food. That was like another vice, by the way. I was having as well. So at this point, I'm overweight, I'm chunky, and I'm like, oh man, I need help. So I told him like, I'm trying to get chopped. I'm trying to, look shredded because I saw how he looked like, veins popping off the skin, abs, like very masculine and dominant dude too. So I wrote out the whole paragraph. I remember even just coming up from the basement that day and I had it in my notes. I was like writing it as I'm coming up the stairs, and then I go in my bed. I send the message like just a couple of minutes later. He's responding. He's like, "We can't have that going on. Like, here's what we're gonna do." Breaks it all down. Didn't even question like can I do a payment plan or like, anything of that sort? Like it was do or die. Like I take things to the extreme. So I just said, here's my credit card. Boom, here we go. And it was just me just dropping my ego because I was eyeing him for a while. It wasn't just somebody I just came across, and just said, all right, here's my money. Like I did some research. Like that's what you guys should do, by the way. If you're gonna go to a coach, like do your research. Cause like everybody has trust issues out here for some reason. And it's just like, no, no, no. Like look at the individual's content and whatnot. Listen to their podcasts, listen to all their messages and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I was listening to all that and I was like, okay, he's it. He's my guy. And then he started showing me everything. He broke it down. He sent me the plan over in the next like 24 hours after signing up. The first thing I did, he was like after the payment went through, even was like, okay, your front, side, and back picks. So it was like, okay, here we go. Here's the first thing. And then I think he gave me this part I don't remember exactly, but some sort of like just temporary workout till he makes his main workout for me. So then I was like, I think I was on like a coaching call or something, and then I was like doing the workout or something. So I was like, okay, it just kept leading to the next thing. So then just from there, he was explaining how the diet portion works with everything, having the right macro split. You don't want to be feeding yourself actually too much protein because then it's just going to be unwanted protein that's just going to turn into fat. Like you're not going to use it properly. So there's correct macro splits and the wrong ones out there, especially you fucks that go on YouTube and think that's how you're gonna figure it out and put on size. I'm telling you right now. Like, then I got chopped in 3 months just listening to, by the way, like not questioning anything in that regard. And I just listened to him. I would come to his calls with questions ready on my notes of what I'm specifically going through, and then not trying to bicker or fight with him. I just said he would like I remember like certain things I would ask, and then he would just be like, it would hurt. And I was like, damn, like, like I wanted a fight. And then I'm like, nope, I can't. I'm like, he's right, whatever. He's the guy in charge. He had all the results, financially, physically, all these things. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to him, not really question it, not go like even like too deep off the rails. Just keep doing the program, keep doing everything he's given me, and just keep doing it on repeat. That's it. Repetition is the mother of skill. So I just kept doing it over and over, just more reps. And then the more that I just kept doing it, cuts and reverses back and forth. He was teaching me the two phases. Just from there, boom, 3, 6, 9, 12. Now so far, just only getting bigger, like put on massive size. Went from like I think like 130 some or 140 something, or I don't remember, or like 160, like blah, like guy from Ghostbusters actually. And then now chopped down, same thing, but now we actually look like jacked and whatnot at the same weight. So that's like another flaw people think too when it comes to weight loss and all that, is like you can be 160 chopped, but you can also be 160 looking like a sack of tard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
So
can lose weight and be soft. If you're
yeah.
losing muscle, a lot of people don't understand that concept that because I work my health. I have a bachelor's in health and kinesiology, and then I was a trainer and worked at a gym
Mhm.
before I went into healthcare. And that's kind of that whole thing is, yeah, you can eat a lot less calories and you can lose weight, but you'll also be soft because you have no lean mass,
Yeah.
you know? You can, yeah, you'll lose the pounds on the scale, but still be flabby.
Hey, after you finish listening to this amazing podcast, be sure to give it a 5-star rating. Then go check out the other podcasts in the Podcast Connection Network, including my own, Magic and Metamorphosis. Check us all out. The link will be in the episode's description.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
where now I know from myself having lost 30 pounds at least twice in my life now, that your you start it's kind of this progress, and with this progress you start seeing results, and then that kind of builds your confidence within your mind. And then I think once you start strengthening your mind a little bit with that confidence, then you become I notice what happens to me is when I become a little more stricter on myself and demand more from myself, then I start demanding a little more from outside of myself, be it the others and whatnot. Um, Now, I know kind of that porn is an internal addiction type thing, but did that confidence you were experiencing in your fitness journey reinforce and give you that confidence to say, fuck porn. I know what that was doing to me, and I'm prepared to chop that out and just kind of fuck it, never look back and keep going forward.
Yeah, that's exactly where it was. And it was again, once I hired that coach where he kept poking at me and giving me reminders on group calls, on one-on-one calls, even all that stuff. Be like, hey Nick, you know what your purpose is? Hey, you're not going back to that, porn, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, erectile dysfunction, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like a whole different Nick Drivas, like 10.0 Nick. That's like just killing it at all cylinders, all areas, So that's what he kept reminding me as I kept working on myself. Journaling, that was a big thing. Like that's where I really tapped in deep within myself. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like this, and then here's my flaws and all these things. And then I was just able to just maneuver and magnify all my weaknesses and work on those. And then I kept winning. I'm like, man, I'm winning the day. Oh man, this is awesome. So that only built more confidence, especially when I just like go out or anything. It's crazy now because of all the work that I've done. Like people just gravitate towards me because my magnetism is so high, and people, they'll try to say that's ego and whatnot. They'll try to twist my words and whatnot. And I'm like, oh man, like how insecure are you, pal? Like, I'm not even trying to come off that way. Like you got it misconstrued because you're not doing the personal development work, you know? Like a lot of people get it twisted in that regard. But no, it's crazy how it all worked because before I did the personal development journey, especially after even just my streak and I started actually to gain weight again, so like 21, 22, I remember being in the gym and I'm like, why does nobody want to come up to me? Why does no women want to come up to me? Why does nobody want to ask me for a spot even? And once I actually invested in the coach, I started to get serious, work on myself. Literally in that 3-month period, people asking me, hey, can I get a spot? Women coming up to me, introducing themselves to me. I never had anybody. I felt invincible at that point. But before the journey, invisible. And that's where I felt very alone, very isolated. And I was just like, I don't want to, be here and whatnot. So that really gave me the confidence through the journaling, reading, something just, or even a quote, like something just about discipline habits, anything of that sort, finding more about myself. And yeah, those reminders from my coach to, have that accountability. And I still have them, you know what I'm saying? Just when I need them too. I'm like, okay, here's that reminder, because I'll start to shift off. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, I'm drifting. Oh shit, bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, that's where people they don't have a lack, they have a lack of accountability. That's why they're not where they're at, or they keep slipping, they keep going back to their old ways. Like you need to be around more solid people to push yourself to the extent that you're like, man, I didn't even know I could hit it this quick and this far, you know?
Yeah.
So, having that accountability from people, there's 3 types. There's, I think it's from like Joey Badass. I remember he says, it's like, you want to have the people that are ahead of you in all areas or some areas that you're weak in. Then you want to have the people that are pretty much at the same level as you. And then you want to have people to mentor or to help that are below you. And when I say below you, it's not like, oh, you're super better than this guy and he can never catch up. It's just like people that you could help that, bring them to that same level and then even to surpass you, you
Yeah,
know?
it's that concept of plus minus and equal, of
Correct.
having
Yep.
somebody you can mentor because then you're getting better by mentoring them. And then of course having your peers and of having a mentor yourself. But
Yep.
I'm gonna move on to a couple of other questions, but before I do,
Mhm.
just so everyone can hear, let everybody know what happens, why, if somebody out there is struggling with porn, why they should remove it. Or even if they're not struggling, what does it do to you, even if you think it's not a big deal, if you know just give us a
Yeah.
little insight to leave with of, hey, maybe there's somebody struggling, but maybe there's guys out there who are like, whatever, that's not a real thing, and um I'm gonna keep beating my meat.
Yeah. So definitely with porn, or I mean, I gotta add this in there. It's with any vice, because I bet there's people out there that are saying the same, like, "Oh, I don't have a drinking problem," like weed's totally fine, all these things. Like I hear it. So the same with porn. Anything that you're trying to escape from your current reality in and trying to fill that with a substance or a quick dopamine hit, it's a vice. Okay, so if you're going through that, and even if you're saying, no, everything's fine, stop lying to yourself, get in the mirror, look at yourself. Like, do you have veins popping off your shoulders, ripped as fuck? Are you confident? Do you have the lifestyle, everything that you desire? Are you 100% satisfied with who you are and where you're at? Most of you, 99.99999% of you, to be honest, it's a no. So you need to remove your ego and admit, hey, I actually do have a problem. I don't want to be doing this anymore, because your conscience is always going to guide you. And it's telling, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. So listen to that voice inside of you and make that change. Okay. Because again, that was me on that toilet seat. And I'm just like, I need to make a change now. If not, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be 6 feet under real quick. So people are just in denial because they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to admit, oh man, I'm actually not my best and I need to work on that. Like, you have to be okay with constant improvement. One of the three traits of a hyper successful person is just never being satisfied. So you should never be satisfied with how you look, even if you got a gut or anything. Like, that's not good. Like, goddamn, you make 6 figures, but like you can't take care of yourself. Like, that's sad, man. Like, you should be in shape if you're making 6, 7, 8, 9+ figures. You know what I'm saying?
You have
And
all the resources
yeah, like, come on, man. Like, that
when you
should
really don't need
be.
any. I mean, shit, we weren't jacking steel in
Mhm.
the military. It's all body weight. If you really have to get down to it, you can boot camp style and
Mhm.
run push-ups and burpees and pull-ups, and you'll get in shape if you do it long enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it all just comes down to discipline. So, and it like requires discipline to listen to your consciousness. And I feel like if people don't have that, like, I don't know, like some people I've come across and I'm just like, they just got to get hit with more pain to realize. But if you're in that pain and you need that help, then listen to that voice and get the help that is needed on self to create the best self and attract the best people around you to live the best life in full in all areas.
Now, do you feel I being different and rare can feel lonely at times? Y- Do you agree with that? And if so, because I'm guessing you felt a little different and rare in the basement because you didn't have the confidence, but then also I'm guessing through your journey of where you were and where you're at now, um, do you still feel a little different and rare, even
Oh
as
yeah.
a trainer? Well, being young, being 23 in this space.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely in the coaching space, especially because like even like my guys that I have now that are solid, I'm like they're all in like late 20s or early 30s, 40s even. And then there's like this 23-year-old, young stud coming up. And it's like, oh man, like I can all relate to them. But it's there's only like maybe like in one community I'm in, like maybe like one or two guys that are around like my age, like 24, 25, which is cool. It's dope. Um, but there are times where I'm not gonna come on here and say like every second of the day, like I'm good. Like, no, it's just when I'm in a low state and I'm like, all right, I can always just hit one of my guys that I know and talk to them or whatever, or just whoop a workout and then I feel better and then I don't feel alone. Um, yeah, but or making music or something, like that's what I do too. So
Do you feel like it's an imposter syndrome a little bit, like being so young, like this thing of like, man, nobody's going to take me seriously. But I mean, you can look at the people you've coached and their
mhm.
results, and that's the definitive proof of, hey, I know what I'm doing. I mean, it's the same as podcasting is you can look at numbers, I can look at comments or whatever, and you still feel a little imposterish at times, but you know, that's just a physical feeling. Um, how do you deal with that?
Definitely, I would say on that is with like most people, like, or just in general, like I'll just again, like I'll just whoop a workout, and I put myself in a category of like I'm just a one of one.
Mhm.
Like nobody can come close to Nick Drivas. Like the young dude actually like knows the most. You know what I'm saying? And when I go and hit that workout or I go and make that music, that's where I feel that character like really unleashing. So yeah, they'll be like all the time, like, "Oh, you're young, you don't know shit." And then I'm like, and then I look at them, and then I'm like, "Oh man, should we start there, bro?" Like, there's people in the gym all the time, like that's how they are. Like there's this one dude, he's like, I think like 55 or 60, and he's got a gut, and he came up to me and he's like trying to compare me to his son that's like in business school or something. And I started explaining like what I do for a living, because he asked me, he's like, "What do you do for a living?" And then I was like, "I do this. Like I transform lives for people." You know what I'm saying? Um, and then he just started like comparing me to his son or somebody, or yeah, I think it was his son. And saying, "Yeah, my son's like 22 or something, and he's in business school, and he's like in shape." And then I'm like, "Yeah, like he's not really like in shit, like, and you're not either. Like, why are you trying to like prove to me?" So I get that. I get yeah, the young card all the time. But it's like I've just been massively ahead. That's always been me too. You know what I'm saying? Because I talked to a 24-year-old last week. I went to Tropical Smoothie, and she was working behind the counter. She saw my tattoo. She starts asking. And then her shift ended as soon as I got my food. So I talked to her for an hour. She was so lost with what she wanted to do. And then she saw me and she said, "You're exactly what I've been trying to find this whole time. Like your lifestyle, everything you do, the way you talk, everything, the way you just did all of that. Like, what the fuck? Like, how are you doing it?" And I'm like, "Because I've taken the time. I've been massively ahead. Like, nobody's going to take the risk. I will." So that's where I just put myself in that category. That's where that beast just like unleashes, that people just won't take that extra step. They won't say, "All right, I'm gonna do this." There's people my age, people that are older. It's just like that mindset. And I'm just like, I'm all for it. I'm just like all offense, and that's how I operate. And I listen to the right people. I don't listen to my parents. I don't listen to um certain people that don't have all the results that I admire. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I get ahead so fast too. So and for
Like you
people
listen for you look for the people who have what you want and you go directly to them.
That's it. Like it's just simple, done. You know what I'm saying? I'm not beating around the bush and going to like this cat that's like kind of it and talking to him. Like my time is very valuable. So I use it to my extent that only benefits me. Like I break it down hour by hour and I see, okay, how did I use that hour? Okay, did I have um the best conversation with this guy that's making loads of money, in shape, all these things, or did I just waste it on some bum crackhead and talk to him about something that doesn't even like align with me or anything of that sort? So it's like, even for the older cats that are like, "Oh, he's so young. Like, what does he know about like wisdom and like what he's been through? He hasn't been through anything. He's 23." I'm like, I can get you back to feeling like you're 23, bro. Like, wouldn't you want to feel like that? Like, wouldn't you want to be around the coach that's actually young as fuck? Because those older coaches, like they're gonna tap, like they're not as high energy. Don't you want that motivation and discipline to go and hit the gym consistently? Like that 30 or 40-year-old coach that you may resonate more with, or you may know a little bit more stuff, or whatever you're thinking in your head. Like, he's not going to push you to the extent that Nick Jervis will and be like poking you every second of the day. Cause like he uses his time very wisely. And then also his energy is just massively different, you know?
So if there's some youngsters out there listening who might feel that rarity or like, oh shit, I'm too young to be doing this, what advice would you give them?
you just gotta create the best you, and that's something that I'm finding, because it's almost like, oh man, I'm going like too fast. And I get people that are like, oh, you need to slow down. So like, no, don't do that. Don't listen to anybody. Go at your own pace. Um, and yeah, fuck what anybody thinks. Like if you want to do coaching or you want to, help people, you got to have the results though first. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to my Instagram and you see it's pinned, like all my team wins, like that was built over time of doing it for free, doing it for money also in that regard, or just cheap at the time. Like I had to maneuver even more. I had to work 100 times harder compared to most guys that already have it established, may know more about business, may have a stronger story, may be able to resonate with some with the audience or whatever, like been through more once again, so for me, I gotta like maneuver even harder. I have to work 100 times harder, you know but that's totally fine with me. So it comes down to your work ethic too. Like you have to be in it to win it, and there's no excuse. If you really want this, like what responsibilities, especially for a younger guy, do you really have? Like I have my responsibilities, of course, but I didn't have like kids and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, to take care of, to pursue this, which I hope that somebody who is younger listening to this is like, I hope you didn't, impregnate a baby mama. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
like if you don't have that going on, like then you're Gucci. Like you could start whatever you want, but that also I would do want to say is like for the older guys, don't make that an excuse either.
No,
When it
I'm
comes to
47. I got kids, and
still get
I'm
it
up.
done,
I'm up at 5 a.m. editing videos, and once my daughter goes to school and my wife goes to work, I go to the gym. So, you
like you
figure it
get it
out.
done, so
Yeah. And
mhm,
kind of my thing is just non-negotiable,
mhm.
like do something. Like I would lift today, but I spent an hour and a half unexpectedly with Spotify online trying to fix shit. And it was like, well, looks like I can do this and not necessarily lift. I'm going to do this and I'll lift tomorrow. But you can get into that slippery slope of like, well, I guess I could just do it all tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, just go do it. You'll feel better for it. And, that's kind of one of those things with, I think anybody is, you just got to take the excuses out of it and figure out where you want to fit in the time to do it. But it had me, I wanted to kind of get back to so your journey, one, how has it made you feel about yourself? And then with doing that, now you're able to help others. So what is it, what feeling do you get from helping others, and kind of what keeps you going?
It's a feeling I never felt, like especially in myself, like with my personal development journey. It was something that like you got to feel on your own terms. And it was that
Self-worth.
self-worth. Yeah, definitely. Because the work instills the worth, so I was doing the work so much on myself, I finally felt at peace once again. I felt that inner peace. um and then also it's that same thing, if I'm on a one-on-one with a client or on my group call, anything of that sort. And what I found is like it's because I'm in that flow state and I'm just locked in, So I'm at such a high frequency, like nothing else is bothering me, not no person. I'm not going and watching porn. I'm not trying to escape anything, because I'm fully present in that moment and I'm making that moment by moment the best moment. So like me on this podcast, every minute that we've been on since 2 o'clock, now it's 3:06. Every minute that has gone past, my mission on here is to make it every moment the best possible moment, to make myself feel good and for everybody that's listening the same thing, you know? And that's something that I'm just dialing even more to have for every second from the moment I wake up to the moment that I go to bed, and having that so consistently as well. Like where it's just like years and years and years and years of doing that over and over and over again. And that's what happened. Like you get so wired, like on personal development, like it just becomes your life. And then you start to take it to the extent. One thing my mentor told me like a while ago was first we got to build your main engine. Like, yeah, this was like kind of when we first started. It's like we have to build your main engine, then we have to fine tune as we go along the process, like all the little like bolts and you know, like maybe like put some more like windshield wiper fluid because it's low and whatnot. But you have like your main engine, like that's your foundations and whatnot. So like that's why I stick to. And then on top of that, like you just keep fine tuning the weaknesses that you have along the path as you keep walking each day. So that like that's the thing that keeps me, I don't want to say motivated, but it because like I don't like motivation, I like discipline. So that's what keeps me disciplined because I'm finding the areas where it's not just I'm getting bored with it, because I know if I'm getting bored, then I know it's going to lead to a desire that's going to lead back to a vice. For me, first one it's going to be is porn, you know, and then I'm gonna want women. I'm gonna want this. I'm gonna start lashing out. That was a big thing with me too, especially being on porn, like angry all the time with people. I used to get in fights with a lot of people too when I was like super, you know, like elementary, middle school, as well. I used to beat kids up and whatnot too. So I was very violent too growing up.
So it's that constant seeking for yourself to get better that kind of keeps
Yeah.
you driving forward, fine tuning yourself. Do you, what kind of fulfillment do you get from helping seeing your clients reach their results? How does that add a level of fulfillment to you internally that you never got before when you were sitting in the basement watching porn?
I mean, it's crazy, man, because I see like, you know, guys that are like 50 and up, like they're doing it. And I'm like, why can't like this other guy not do it? You know, and it's like, it's just awesome to see. Um, you know, and then on top of that is like going back to like how I'm so young, you know, I'm like, damn, they're listening to me. It's because I have the results, you know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, it just feels, I don't, it's not even something I could really like put into words. It's just like, it's just awesome if I got to kind of be like cliche with it, but it's like, it's just an awesome feeling. You know, I'm like, man, like they're listening to me. I feel good. I'm not, you know, drowning myself in this porn. I'm not, um, drinking or all this shit. I'm not, you know, I'm using my time very wisely. Once again, I'm aligned with my purpose, you know, and that's the best thing that I found. And I'm like, this is awesome. And then they send like a little, like maybe like a video testimonial or even just like a written review or whatever. Like I have so much conviction in this. Like I would give this to my dad. Matter of fact, he's actually on my team and he's like 52.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like he dropped like over 50 pounds and he's like a freaking beast. Like every time he hits the gym, he's like, yeah, like he's got veins now popping off the skin now, and like we're just getting down to like the nitty gritty on like the stomach area, and like he just feels so different because he was like fat and overweight, and it's like even like for my dad to see that in him, because I know he was so mopey, he was so angry all the time, he hated his life. He told me, you know, he felt just again ashamed and a piece of shit and all these things. And then once I taught him the same program that helped me, you know, once I started doing it and he started seeing the results, he was like, man, Nick, I need your help. So then he started doing everything and it's just day by day. He's like, I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to hang around like old friends that are like lame because they're drinking and all this stuff. Or it's just so crazy to see, especially like in my own home too, that I see on repeat, you know what I'm saying? So, and the confidence he had, because he had no confidence as well. Like that's how much belief too that I have in myself, the program, everything. Like it's crazy how it all works. And seeing it, because you know, it's like online and whatnot, but like do in person, especially in your own home, like behind closed doors and you know, all that stuff, it's pretty crazy. And I'm truly grateful as well to see that.
How's it made a difference with your relationship with your dad?
Oh, so much better because now we can actually think clear. So now we're more on the same wavelength because when we're running the same exact program, and two, it's like nothing's in the way. And he's actually listening too. I also have my uncle that's like 30 minutes from me. He's on the same program and he's listening to me. And he's like, damn, Nick, you're right. Like, he's like a 10-year gap from me. So he's like 32, 33-ish.
Mhm.
So like him listening, it's the same thing. It's just awesome in all realms to be able to witness that again at such a young age. And they just feel so much better, man. That's what they always tell me is this weight's gone. I feel so much more confident. I feel like I want to do so much more. I feel so much more fulfilled with myself. I didn't know where I was going. I was lost, even though I was working a career, you know. And then now they're making more money. Like my dad just got a whole new like promotion. Like he went from I think it was like 45 to almost 70 before overtime at his job and also like more bonuses coming on the way in like the span of just a year, not even being on the program. Like same for my uncle, with what he does. And I'm like, oh man, that's how powerful the program is. So it works on the physical, your confidence, and also in it's just all areas, man.
I think it's one of those things where I've noticed that whenever you start losing weight, it's not uncommon that people, when they start looking and feeling their best, that additional opportunities come along.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's the confidence that people put themselves out there more, they're just more confident, they look better physically. Because I would probably venture to say that there's studies that have been done that whether it's attractivity, symmetry, all these things, you could look and they would probably play a factor into whether it's people getting hired, people getting promotions. Um, Although it doesn't make sense sometimes, I think if you look back and you go, okay, why are there some real kind of shitbag CEOs who are lumps of shit? But I'm guessing they all didn't start off that way. But um, where do you see yourself go? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you see yourself, your business?
Everything overall, like especially for business, like when somebody asks me that, it's like I don't put a timeline. Like I'm a little bit different where people like put timelines and say, okay, in 5 years I have to be
Mhm.
there. I'm kind of operating from above, and where above is telling me in 5 years, like that's more of my destiny of where I'm supposed to be. So what I see for myself, to answer the question, what it's been giving me as of lately, um, is that to hit this even deeper, with coaching, but also through my message, especially as I was saying, even just with music, um, is to hit it from again, like just all areas to like something that my conscience keeps saying, and this is kind of like the first time I'm really saying this on a podcast, is it's like you need to go so much deeper. Like the things that you are going to do for this world are just going to be astronomical. Like this is my voice at this point saying it's like you're not even warmed up yet. That's something that I've always said is like you're not even warmed up yet. It's like you haven't even scratched the surface, you know? So that's my voice. And even I've gotten confirmation from that, from mentors, just people that I know, people that I just come across in general. And I'm just like, hold on, hold on. Why do I keep getting that? And that's something that I've reflected on in my journal a lot. And I'm like, that's not happening by accident. So I can't like I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
okay too.
It's definitely it's definitely going to be like everything that I'm pursuing now, my purpose and whatnot. I'm not going to go back and be a fucking porn actor or anything of that sort. Um, but just things that align more with my 10.0 self. I see definitely being in a much better environment overall, around more solid people, making tons of more money, having my own like dope ass crib, being around just a better presence for especially for myself. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely answer that. But yeah, that's what it's been calling me as of recently, and I'm just like, I need to run with that. So that off the top of my head, that's what it's telling me to say to you right now too. You know.
Yeah, I can understand that because I could go like, where am I going to be in 5 years as a podcaster? You
Mhm.
know, for me, it's like kind of like you said. I mean, you want to be deeper, whether it's helping more people. This is just scratching the surface, and it's kind of like you just keep putting in the work. You keep doing, I don't know what you want to say, the steps, but the small daily habits.
Yep.
And as long as you keep doing those, you know, your journey may not look the way you thought it would look, but the results might actually be way better than you thought they would ever be. But it really all boils down to those daily decisions, the daily discipline of your daily habits, no matter how big or small they are. So, last question before we wrap it up.
Perfect.
If you could tell younger Nick three things to get his life in order, what would they be?
One is you're a stupid fuck and you need to stop watching the porn. Definitely that one. So, and all vices, by the way. Um, the second thing I would say for myself is, you gotta move, man. You have to make moves right now. Like whatever that may be. Like getting out of the bed, getting out of the house. Um, go and explore. Go and explore your consciousness. Go and explore self. Like don't go and like this is what people do. Like they go on like trips around the world and then there's still like laws. And it's like, yeah, because the answers are from within. Like,
Yeah.
why are you going to Italy? Because you think you need like a vacation? It's like, oh
If you
no,
can
no,
be
no.
happy in Italy, like, well, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you can
Right.
be happy with a little, you can be happy with a lot. And so if I can be happy on the back porch, then I could be happy in Italy.
Right, exactly. But like you could be depressed and all these things, and then you go take the trip to Italy and you still feel depressed. It,
Yeah.
it travels with you, if anything. So yeah, all the answers come from within. That kind of ties in with the second one. My last one, I'm trying to think of a really good one, but I mean, it's just you got to create the 10.0 you, man, and live by that. And that's what you're gonna give to this world at just a very massive level. And that's what it's told me. I'm not the normal kid. I'm not, a normal guy. I've come to the conclusion of that. Like working 9 to 5, all these things, listening to certain people, all these things. And that's something that's been with me ever since, like all the way, like the whole story that I explained of like Nick Jervis at 12, 13, 14, trying to pursue basketball. It always was something at such a grand size, and now it's confirming with everything that I'm doing now. This is the part of it. So for me to trust that of what that, like, I guess I want to say like feeling, and again that voice, and like what, like, why is that even being given to me, but it's like, don't even try to question it, just trust it, so trust what it's saying at such a grand uh level, or just a grand vision. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be something that's like no one's ever seen it before. No one's ever, it's going to be such like oh my God. So I'm like, that's still something that I'm like, okay, I got to keep tapping into that. You know what I'm saying? Just never been done before, you know?
Yeah.
Those would be the three things.
You want to do things, if you want things you've never had, you got to do things you've never been or done. But I'm
Yeah.
guessing on
Yeah.
7/27 was the day that you decided I have to create it, that it's not going to come to me and I have to make the steps, and kind of goes back to your first point or second point of move. You got to get out and move, whether it's starts with getting out of the bed, getting out of the house, going for a walk, um, whatever journey you're on, you just got to start stepping in the right direction and creating those kind of small habits, small wins. But one thing definitely I loved about this episode, this interview, and one of the episodes I watched with you on there was the Creators Podcast. And, you know, your thing was you said, be 100% you.
Yep.
And I really,
Mhm.
when it came to creation and, no matter what it is, and even at 47, doing a podcast, this and that, that was something that really stuck with me. And one of the things I admired about your young self is kind of getting that, because I've been your age and I've gone through all these iterations of whether it's not getting to be 100% of myself, 100% true to myself. And now that I'm starting to a little later in life, it's very freeing. But where do you think you got that? What was it that taught you that little bitty lesson so early in life?
I mean, I've had that, like my mom always told me that, especially, before they got divorced, because I live with my dad, and I feel like that's where, even in a sense, I kind of lost that along the journey, but I gained it back by the whole personal development path. So, she always said it, and but I had to find it though for myself, and I was like, she always encouraged it, but I'd never really felt it. But then I was like, oh man, now I'm really being it. And that's even what I was talking about before, like with it never being done with what Nick Drivas is gonna do, like that's that being 100% me. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. Like I just I just don't care too. Like if you have an opinion, like certain people, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But like I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna do it what's gangster and what's dope to Nick Drivas, you know? And I'm only tapping deeper into that because I'm just gonna like not give a fuck. Like the first time I gave a fuck was the last time I gave a fuck, So it's like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna listen to Billy Bob to say, oh, Nick, you're 23. You're an entrepreneur, but you need to go and get the job. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to Billy Bob. No, no, I'm not, like that's not gonna make me be my 100% self.
Yeah.
I feel like to tie this all up, that's kind of what it was, especially being at this house and this whole story, especially with the porn and everything. It was because I wasn't being guided in the right direction to actually be my 100% self. And even where I'm relocating now, it's only going to give me more and more and more confirmation of my next steps of what my consciousness is specifically telling me to do, and plan or whatever, to allow that expression and freedom. Because I think of it as like an art too, all of this. Listening to your consciousness, personal development, the creativity side that I have, exploring that more, and just really letting that unleash and embrace. Because for so long, I'll add this in too, is with music has always been a big thing. And
I wasn't gonna let you off the hook with that either. I was gonna actually say, okay, I know you're the trainer, personal development thing, but you've mentioned music a couple times, so let spill it. What is it? What are you doing with it? What's it called? Have you put
so
anything out?
So, currently working on a track, like right now, still tapping into it, but like even since this whole journey, I was listening to the wrong people, even people that were artists and rappers and all this stuff were just, they were like, no, you shouldn't put it out. Like, I don't think you should pursue that or anything. And I listened to them and I was like, man, now it's just on my terms. I just listen to what it's calling me to do. Literally have a track. I sent it to one of my homies. So this is like, it's called screamo trap or like trap metal. So
Hmm.
there's a certain way to even scream. So you're not blowing out your vocal cords, right? Um, and he was like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, that's me." I taught myself how to do the technique. It was easy breezy. And it's like, man, it sounds so dope. So it's a mix of rap and also metal in there as
Okay.
well. So you hear me screaming, but I'm also like rapping at the same time, which is dope. So that's what I'm currently working on, and that's where my consciousness is guiding me with everything, alongside everything that I'm doing here as well. It's just another expression or an outlet for me, as well. And it's just like that's where what I found along my journey is what's dope to me. It's not smoking a whole bunch of cigars and looking cool on Instagram or, to be I'm an entrepreneur. Like
Right.
that's not me even. Like that's lame to me. Or like being some fake or anything. What's cool to Nick Drivas? Oh man, this music, this coaching, helping people, that's my life. That's it. Simple, done, of what I've been through, how I can help you off all vices, all these things, put it into more purpose. And that's what I'm talking about too on the tracks. I'm not just saying, fuck bitches, get money. Like,
Right.
no, I'm talking about my story. I'm talking what I'm doing on here, what I just explained in an hour and a half podcast too. So it's dope. It's all universal too, which is awesome.
That's awesome, man. As long as, and that's kind of my thing was I played guitar many years ago. Haven't played in a while, but I'm kind of breaking them back out. And it's kind of one of these things of, I say, as long as you enjoy it, keep doing it. And also, once it becomes work, make sure you still enjoy doing it. I mean, the other day I woke up Sunday like 4 in the morning, started editing at 5 in the morning. I spent about 11 hours in front of the computer doing all kinds of different things for the podcast, but
Mhm.
it didn't really even seem like 11 hours. I was in that flow state
Yep.
and I enjoyed it. And because I'm twice your age and I've had some pretty shitty jobs, I'm able to recognize like, no, this is what I love to do is to get to talk to people, to tell their stories, to get any sort of great information that could possibly help somebody else because I believe we're all here because we love to help people. And if our mistakes and our past, even sometimes you know, as vulnerable as we have to be and as embarrassing as it could be, um, kind of like you, we just say, fuck that, and it's going to help somebody. And that's why I'm going to share it. So you want to throw shade, eat shit, whatever, you know?
Mhm.
And, I think the term creator always bothers me, but, you know, we're out here trying to help people at our own expense. And so one of the interviews I did, I said, if somebody else wants to throw shade and they're not the ones out here putting it on the line, then fuck them. And Kyle Smith goes 100% fuck them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we do it over here.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was awesome talking to you. And I think there's a lot of great content in terms of, the information and whatnot. But where can people find you if they're interested in your coaching, if they want to chat with you, if they have any questions, where's a good place for them to get in contact with you?
So for all coaching inquiries or just to contact me is going to be on Instagram, is the fastest way. I answer all my DMs. You're talking to me. It's not some robot or somebody, like it's me in the flesh. I'll even send like videos to be like, it's me, man. Like you're talking to me. So that's on Instagram, Nick Drivas Fit, NickDrivas Fit, FIT. And you can contact me there. Got my 2 levels of service. You can do my mid-level or my high level. Mid-level is group level. Just get your diet, workouts in order and just get you off all vices, anything to that extent. And then elite level is more one-on-one to carve you into your 10.0 self and really go in deep. And like if you want to make more money in your career or just become that elite or baller status person, a bigger, better lifestyle that I can help you out with too. So hit me whichever one, but shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's the fastest way.
And everybody better get in now because you'll actually be talking to Nick. 5 years from now, they might be talking to your social media team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, get on it now, man. I'm like, the team is growing, man. I'm like, I don't know. I may need somebody for like either the DM soon or something, man. Cause I'm like, oh man, this is like some people, like doing back end and front end, back and
Yeah,
forth stuff. So yeah,
it gets busy. It gets
yeah, it
busy the
does. It
more
does.
the more you start to do, but I think it's also the fun part, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's the fun, like maneuvering, figuring that stuff out,
The
which is
the
awesome.
journey is the fun, even though it's frustrating at times.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There were so many days where I was like, I just want to go watch porn, and then I was like, nope, just literally just keep doing the work. That's it. Just
Keep
keep
doing
doing
the
the work,
work.
stick with it. You
One
know,
foot in front of the other, and eventually you'll get there.
that's what I'm saying. One disciplined action leads to the next. One undisciplined action leads to the next.
Oh, I love that. Well, all right, man. It was great talking to you. Well, you've made it this far, which means you're probably a super fan of the show. That's amazing, and I really appreciate your support. To keep up with all the latest updates, make sure you're following the show on social media. You can find all the links in the bio. And if you've been enjoying the content, I'd be so grateful if you could take a minute and leave a review. It really helps us reach more people who might love the show as much as you do. Also, don't forget to tell one friend about the show as well. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And if you're feeling extra generous, check out the link tree in the bio where you can find a link to donate. Every little bit helps me keep creating the content you love. Thanks for being an awesome superfan. I couldn't do it without you.
Let go.